Hi everybody, how are you all doing out there today? It is time for the vlog for July 2020. Time just moves on. It just doesn't stop moving, does it? And I'm always surprised when we have a new month. I don't know why. It comes every time and I'm always surprised. Oh look, it's July. It's time to do another vlog. Anyhow, I hope you are well out there. Welcome to my art studio and gardens. This is the studio where I work, and I am doing a little more adjusting in the studio for it to be more efficient and comfortable. I really do believe that your creative space should be comfortable for how you like to work and how you like to be inspired. So it just really depends on your personality as to how you want it set up. I have my kind of, a friend said it was vintage Victorian boho. I really like that description because I think it fits really well. So as far as art goes, from last month, I finished a piece that I had been working on for a long time. So I'm really happy that I have that one done and in the hands of its new home, and it was gratefully received. So I'm very happy that that's completed. I still have three pieces that I must finish. The one that I've been working on, which is over here, and you can't see it right now. That one is the one that I've been doing videos with you guys on, and I have not worked on that at all, so that's why you haven't seen a video. I'm hoping that this month I will get back to it, and as I said last month, I had hoped I would get to it this month, but it just didn't work out. So coming up, I hope that I can get the vines done, and that's what I'll have you on the video with me, and then no more videos until I finish it up and get it in the hands of its new owner. I'll post a picture of it after they receive it. And then, oh, this piece here, I never put it up for sale. Here it is. This is called Crimson, and it's found a new home, so I'm not going to be putting it up, but I'm excited it's going to have a new home. And as far as art goes, we have been working on a few things. I'm working on a few things to, like I said, make the space easier to work in. Every year I work here, the more I discover what would make it a little better, and I love that. So I have a new cabinet in that's holding little bitty paints like these, little container paints like that, and seeds. Also, I have set up a TV. My husband set up a TV on the back wall. I'll do a tour later, so that it's connected to my computer, and I have Roku on it, and I have a DVD player hooked up to it, because I really do like to have background noise and things. Like, I don't like to have on a television something that I'm really interested in while I'm working, but something I've enjoyed watching for years, like Pride and Prejudice or something like that, in the background while I'm working. Also, I like to have music on while I'm working. And then it's also good for running the business to have a large screen to be able to see what's going on there. So my husband hooked up a very big TV on the wall. I didn't intend to have such a large one, but that's what he put in there. And later, like I said, I'll do a little tour for you. I'm hoping to get another little cabinet right here. I have a little table to work on that holds the paints and brushes and stuff while I'm working, but I'd like to have a couple of drawers. So I think I'll be adding that later. The other thing that we're working on, my husband is actually working on my website so that it will be clearer, easier to use, and easier to get to, easier to find, so that you guys can use it better. And I hope this winter I'll be doing some blogs on that website again. I'm still in the process of just, I had to change computers. My old computer started to, fall apart as they do. And I need to transfer all the photos from that computer to I got a hand-me-down computer from my husband, but I need to transfer it to that so that I can work on the blog this winter. I am working on setting it up so that I can ship things from here instead of going to a post office. I'm very concerned about my son's health, and so as this drags on a little bit with the pandemic and health concerns, his doctors he's seen only by internet or on the phone, and they have told him he needs to stay home for at least the next 6 months unless the numbers start going down, in which they are not. And they said that even in 6 months they would reassess it, but it's more likely it could be a whole year. So because of that, I started to rethink how my business works. And actually, sometimes when you face challenges like that, it makes you really take a hard look at how you're doing things like you thought were, they were fine, but it does take me a lot of time to gather the shipping supplies, to get to a post office, to stand in line when I'm already really busy doing other things. So, and also the website, I hadn't really worked on it either because it does take me a lot of time. So those are things that I hadn't really updated or worked with for a while. In fact, I think I kind of just gave up a little bit. So I've been reassessing, and I've been able to start to establish a way to do the shipping from home by printing labels here and having the shipping materials sent here, and then having it picked up by the postman at the door. So I'm working on that, and then my husband's working on the website, and I'm working on more storage. I think that this winter, when I start really painting again and having things available for sale, I'm going to be working in small scale. I think it's easier for most people to purchase and have in their home a smaller painting. I hadn't done that for a while because there were some complications with that, but I have a new process, and working with oil has changed how I think about things. So those are all really good things, and sometimes that's why it's good to pull back from a certain creative thing that you're doing and let it rest. Like a gardening saying is, let the ground lay fallow, and sometimes that's what creativity needs. Sometimes you need time for it to lay fallow because it's energizing and reassessing, and when you have the time that you're pulling away from that creativity, you're thinking about how to readjust and how to make it better. So I feel like this winter coming up, I have some really good processes in place. So I'm looking forward to that. In the meantime, though, let's talk about gardening. So my other passion, right? So everything is growing really quite nicely. I'm very pleased with everything outside, and so we'll be doing more videos, of course, and touring some more. But I wanted to talk a lot about food growth this time because I have been in the past where I felt stuck, like I was in a place that I felt like I couldn't do anything because there wasn't enough space, or I didn't have dirt, or I just couldn't do those kind of things that I really wanted to do, and therefore I did nothing. And so I really feel like I'm such a huge believer in don't do nothing. Dreams are great, but sometimes they can make you get stuck in place because you can't reach that yet. So I feel always do something instead of nothing. So if you have a pot, grow something. It'll make you feel better. If you have a little bit of dirt, then grow something. And the majority of us live in cities and have a small plot of land. It's not going to grow enough to support a family all year round, but it is going to grow some for your enjoyment and added benefit to your family and yourself. So I feel like you just got to start somewhere. And I'm really happy that I did that here because, when I started, I thought, well, as you've seen some of the pictures, I thought nothing will grow here. No, that's not true. I had done it before, so I knew it would. It's just, I knew it was going to take a lot of work to get it in place. And I just kind of knew the process that has to be done in this kind of ground and this kind of environment and temperature. And so I felt, well, it started with some really good cement walls, and the walls are really great for in New Mexico. Those are really good things to have. But now everything is starting to really grow, and I'm starting to see some results from that work, and I'm thrilled with that. But at the same time, even though I do grow quite a bit, it is not even close to what my family will need for, food. But some of my tours that I'm going to focus on, I'll be doing, and I'm going to focus on where the food is, because most of my space is landscaping that has food in that landscaping, placed strategically so it looks nice, but it's producing for our family. And I think that's a really fun trick, to be honest. I'm really proud of that part. And then I do have some raised beds that are dedicated for growing food, and they're doing really well. So I'm going to take you around and show you exactly where all the food is and how and why I placed it where I did. So that's kind of what I'm going to work on in July in those tours. And then also I wanted to talk about food in a city farm girl way and some cheats. So there's been times where I was living in apartments. I've lived in quite a few in my lifetime. And for me, coming from an area where I didn't see people for miles, it was difficult for me to live in such a confined space without any dirt. And I kind of just gave up. I kind of said, well, I can't do those farm life things or homestead like things I used to do. And living here in this home and rethinking how I think has been really fantastic. And so it's kind of opened this little world that I wanted to share with other people, because if you've never done any kind of farm life stuff and you'd love to, but you can't, or if you have in the past and you feel stuck where you're at, I've heard this, term in the past, city farm girl, and that's really what I consider myself. And I think that there's a fantastic space for people like us. The majority of people live in cities with a small piece of dirt, and most of us long for more space. But what we can do with what we have is pretty amazing. And there are some cheats, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about how I cheat in canning, in food storage, and products that I find really beneficial for my family. So I'm going to do a few videos on canning, because a lot of time, if you're a true homesteader, you're a true farm person, you're a true amazing canner and have been for ages, you'd go, oh. But I feel like there's a place for everyone to start. And so I like to focus on where you can start, how you can get that foothold and start to enjoy fresh foods and can them. And so one of my next videos is going to be salsa, and I'm going to use canned tomatoes to make canned salsa. And yes, but if you cannot grow all of your tomatoes, you can't afford to buy a pile of fresh tomatoes, canned tomatoes work. It's a cheat. So there's other things that I'm going to talk about too. I'm going to be doing some blueberry pie filling. And so there's just some things that you can add to your life to make it more beneficial, enjoyable, and your foods taste better, and it costs less in the long run to be canning those kind of things. So I'm going to kind of do that in the next couple of months. Also, I just started. I have never pressure canned before, and last week I was able to actually do my first batch of a pressure canning chicken soup with a friend of mine who has had years and years of experience and is one of these super amazing canners through Zoom. She helped walk me through it, and I'm just really excited because that was my first time. My videos coming up, excuse me, hiccups. I will be focusing on water bath canning because it is something I'm very comfortable with, and I think that when you're starting out canning, pressure canning can be a little bit daunting and overwhelming. So I want to start doing videos with just the water bath canning and how fun it can be and how exciting it is to can your own food and have it stored. And the best benefit of canning your own food is freshness. You know what's in it, no preservatives, and it will stay good for a very long time. You could freeze things, but power goes out. But when you can it, it's safe. So it's a wonderful thing. And so I wanted to share that in the next few months. But as far as pressure canning goes, it had been my goal. And so one of the things I thought I would talk about is how I always say you, but what I mean is how I have come up to daunting tasks that I want to accomplish and add to my life and the process it takes to get there. So over a year, I've been working towards being able to get to the point where I'm pressure canning. And it took me a year of getting the supplies together, getting the equipment I needed, getting everything else in my life organized so that I had the time to start putting that into my schedule and my routine. And so I just kind of wanted to share that process because sometimes I also feel like that stops people because they think, I don't know how I'll ever do that. It's just so much. I'd love to, but I don't see how I could ever do that. Like making my own lotions or balms or stuff like that. So why I try to do my videos to show you that this is how it can be done. It's not as difficult as it seems. It does take a little time to learn that routine and get there where you're comfortable. But it's an amazing feeling of freedom when you can do that for yourself and your family. So in this fall, I plan on adding another thing that I'd like to add to my city farm life, and that's making candles. I've not done that except for many, 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 many years ago, and I don't remember how. So, and I don't have the equipment yet. So what I do whenever I'm adding something new that I'm going to be putting into my life and adding to the goal, my big goal is lowering our costs of living in ways of food in particular, in energy costs, and adding to the enjoyment of our life and benefits, and that's by usually food and all those other things. So that is what my goal is. So the next thing is candle making. And so what I do, because it does seem overwhelming adding another thing in and something I've not done in a very, very long time. So what I do is I first start researching it through Pinterest. I'm a big visual person. I like to see. I like to read, but fictional. I don't like to read directions and instructions. That makes my head just explode. So I love watching. The YouTube is fantastic for that because then you can watch people do something and you can learn how they do it. But I usually start with Pinterest, like everybody else. We love looking at Pinterest. And I start looking at ideas, pictures of things, how people do it, supplies, and equipment. And then I make a list of the supplies and the equipment that I think I'm going to be needing. And then as every month goes by, I pick one of those supplies or two or whatever equipment, and I slowly collect all that, because that's the other thing that people find overwhelming, like when I explain what you're going to need to make lotion, and they start to feel overwhelmed by the list of things that you might need. And it's not that much, but it does get a little bit overwhelming because it's like, well, where do I find that? How do I get that? And so I try to explain that so that it's easy for you. Once you get that all together, it is easy. But it does take a little time to collect all that because we don't always have a big chunk of cash to just invest in making that process. And, the other anxiety thing is, well, am I even going to use that, or am I going to enjoy it? I don't know. Am I wasting? Well, some of this stuff we do take a risk on. We may not enjoy doing that. We may end up giving that to somebody else to do. Like knitting. I thought I would really enjoy knitting. I kind of did for a little bit, but it's not my thing. So I add that on to someone else. So that was a small investment of stuff, and I thought, oh well, I'm going to do something else that I really enjoy. So that happens. Anyhow, so my process is first research what you're about to do. Ask people you know. How do they do that? How do you do that? And they're usually very happy to share it. That's why I do my whole video channel. Is I'm sharing. I'm happy to share to help somebody learn something different and see that there's freedom in doing this. When I can't even describe it really. The feeling of not having to go to the store to buy lotion that I don't know if will really help me. But I make it now myself, and I know it helps me. I know it helps my son. And I've had years of practice, so it's very simple for me. And it's just the feeling of I don't have to do that anymore. Or I don't have to go buy laundry detergent anymore. It's, an amazing feeling of having that freedom to do that. So, but, I feel like it builds in layers and layers. You start with one thing. I started with just lotion. That's what I started with, lotion. And then laundry detergent. Those are the two things I started with. I focused on those two things, and I got comfortable with that, and I had the equipment for those two things. I got more knowledge. I collected books, and I watched YouTube videos, and I listened to friends who used to make it, or I thought about what my grandmother did. I did deep research for way back when people didn't need to go to the store to buy laundry detergent or a cleaning spray. So then I continually added a recipe. I practiced that recipe until I was comfortable with it. So that's where I am now with the pressure canning. I've spent a year working on getting the equipment, the supplies, preparing my routine and my schedule so I can put that in there. I ask my friend who's super talented, and now I'm on some Facebook group for canning, and learning from all these experienced people, and then passing that information on. Again, I just feel like this kind of knowledge is super valuable, and it isn't taught in schools. So it's a wonderful thing when we can pass it on to anyone else to help simplify how they do things, and to enjoy what they eat and what they make. So that's just kind of what's happening here in Stacy's Art Studio Gardens starting out in July. And I wanted to show you this really cute little thing that I just got in the mail, and this is from, isn't that so cute? It's handmade loveliness inside, and it's from a little company called Tiny Art on Instagram, and she makes jewelry, and it's just lovely. And look, when you open it up, there's little bits of candy in there. This is so sweet. I'm very excited to get this. It's a necklace that I purchased from her. Oh, it's so cute. It's a very gardening necklace. Isn't that cute? She made this. She makes it out of vintage pieces that she finds. And it's going to go really well with this outfit, isn't it? I just wanted to share that with you. It's a very beautiful garden piece right there. And these are vintage and little vintage beads. It's just so beautiful. I just love it, Tiny Art. Go check her out on Instagram. Anyway, thank you so much for coming by again at the Art Studio and Gardens and listening to me just yammer on. I hope you're having a wonderful day and finding new things to do, and finding joy in life. So I'm going to send my love out to all of you, and I will see you soon in my next videos. Bye.